Welcome to the House of War. Today on Breaking Chains, founder and president Becky McDonald joins us to share her insight on homeschooling as well as some Easter basket ideas. Becky, can you share about a time you were homeschooling overseas and some challenges you faced that parents might be facing today?
Sure. Technically, luckily for my four kids, they were never homeschooled, but we had many times where they had to be at home and locked down like we are right now. In fact, sometimes it felt like COVID-19 every day overseas. But you know, I would have been one of those teachers that would have probably killed my kids and said to them, "What? You got one wrong, go fix it and do it perfectly." But I grew up and went to boarding school as an American overseas and in the Himalaya mountains of Pakistan. And because of that experience in my life, I determined that I would teach my children myself or come home. And so when I was in college, I did double duty, and I went to two colleges, and I did another training at Calvin in elementary education. And then when my husband was getting his PhD at Michigan State in international development, I took grad classes there. When you're overseas, you have no resources, you have no tutors, you have no help, you have no libraries, and so it's a lot like homeschooling, only with no resources. If you go to the WAR website, Facebook or mine, there's like a 5-minute blurb on there where I tell how terrible I was at teaching my brainy kids math, because by grade 4 they were so far beyond me. And I make fun of what a terrible thing it is to waste a brain, mine that is. Phil and I don't really know where we got 4 kids that are smart in math, because we don't like math, although he can count backwards. But the thing is, raising kids overseas is like homeschooling in that you don't have TV, you don't have Toys R Us, you don't have playgrounds and parks, you don't have a lot of the things that we have here. So you spend a lot of time riding bikes, you spend a lot of time outside. We played with our pets, which were wild animals. Maybe I can get my husband next week to tell you a story of cobra diarrhea. Truly, I didn't even know that growing up, but maybe next week we'll do that on a Facebook blurb. But I remember my dad calling all of us kids together because the Bengalis brought in a python, a boa constrictor. And you know the story of Jungle Book, right? Where Kaa is wrapping itself around Mowgli. And so when that python swallows something whole, it goes to sleep and it hibernates while it digests it. And so the Bengalis would bring in this, 30-foot or whatever foot python that had a big lump in the middle. And my bloodthirsty brothers would stand there and they would place bets on, what do you think it swallowed? It was usually a goat. And so my dad would kill the python, open the python's stomach, take out the goat, open the goat's stomach, take out what it ate, and keep going until you got down to a beetle or something, and you'd see the whole food chain. But when I was growing up, we didn't have electricity, and so we played outside a lot, and we didn't play house, we played airplane, and we played terrorist hijackers. And they would hijack us to foreign countries, and we had flight attendants and a pilot and passengers, and we would pretend that we, knew what the food was and would try and do all that kind of thing. So as a parent, you just have to be super creative, and you have to let your children come up with creative ideas. Let them take over the basement. Let them take over their bedroom and create elaborate forts with tables and sheets, and we had hallways, and we played a lot of hide and seek, and we played kick the can in the dark. I've got scars to prove it. There's no social distancing with sardines, but that's a great game to play in the house. We had to create 3 meals a day, and which everybody's having to do right now at home, and we didn't have the grocery stores like you have here, and we had to make our own mayonnaise and our own yogurt and our own buns if we wanted to have hamburgers, and grind our own meat. And so share meal duty with your kids. Let them learn to make a meal and know how to put the different food groups and colors together. We learned how to make perfume by watching our pet monkeys pull the hibiscus plant off, and there'd be a little drop of sugar, of essence there. And you can go online, there are so many ideas on Pinterest. Today we have so many resources right at our fingertips. Let your kids make their own Pinterest. Let your kids create a virtual party. They can have a party. We're going to talk about some fun products. They can write a letter to an orphan. You just have to get organized. That's the key. You can create a time of the day that's a quiet time. You need to set a schedule, and you need to set it with activities like a week ahead, and let them help you plan that. Because educators and studies have shown, educators know that when children set their own rules, they follow them the best. So let them help you set the plan for the week ahead. Reward them. If you're giving them things to do around the house, give them a quarter every time. Give them an envelope and show them how to budget. Show them how to put 1 quarter in a college fund and 1 quarter in a gift to a charity, and 1 quarter or 2 quarters in their own envelope. Teach them how to sell online. Man, if I had kids in my house right now, I would be so doing a virtual garage sale. I would be getting rid of all that stuff that I need to get rid of and don't have time to get rid of. Give them a percentage of the sales. Tell them they get 30% or 10% or half or whatever. But you just have to get creative, and I could just go on and on all day.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Becky. If anyone would like to write letters to an orphan, feel free to mail those to WAR or send them to info@warinternational.org, and we will send those letters to orphanages we partner with. Easter is being celebrated differently all over this year. Did you have any traditions with your kids that others might be able to adapt?
Did you have traditions growing up?
You know, I really didn't. My family wasn't really intentional about making special memories when I was growing up.
Well, I was that weird mom that deliberately and intentionally created memories, but you have to do that because I think your experience is normal for most of us. And if we don't stop and take time to plan something intentionally, then Easter will just come and go. We're not going to get dressed up and go to church, so we have to be intentional. I would say let your children act out the Easter story. Have them practice it. We spent hours acting out every, fairy tale in the book and dressing up in our mom's clothes, and we just pulled a sheet across the room, and that was the stage. Let them do a family Zoom and let them act out the Easter story. Let them start practicing it now. Do a storybook. Maybe they do it in a pictorial form. If they're older, they can write music or poetry. My granddaughter wrote a song about COVID and trusting God. I remember in Rockford years ago when my youngest, who was my daughter, was a teenager, she hid eggs in our huge backyard and invited all the little neighbor kids to come and do an Easter egg hunt. So I had this idea. How about you hide an egg at every front doorstep? Make it be a plastic egg, maybe. If you want to do Easter eggs, fine. And put a note in it and ring the doorbell and leave a note on the door that says there's an Easter egg hidden on your front porch. We made cookies and eggs in baskets every year. And I remember one year in the Philippines, we made 100 dozen cookies. And we were spending hours I had 2 little preschool boys then, and my 5-year-old was yelling at my 3-year-old, quit sweating on the cookies. It was like 90 to 100 degrees, and it was hot and sweaty, and we were all dripping with sweat. And I remember the 2-year-old looking at me and going, Mommy, you're such a sweaty pie. So yes, we had a lot of good memories.
Easter is approaching quickly. When your children were younger, what types of things did you put in their Easter baskets?
Well, we started out elaborate, but I got quickly tired of that. Like, we ran strings from the baskets, so all of our 4 kids, we had a different basket with a different string color, and they had to run all over the house and follow that string to find their basket, and it was just a bother and a pain. I never did that again. So we would put obvious things like fruit and small gifts. I like to do the plastic eggs, and I would put money in it for them, and they like that. When they got older, we'd do a CD or a gift card or a Christian bookstore or a new Bible or a gift card. And so we just, you know, made it older as they got older. But just fun things, activities, things that they could do.
Cool. Was there any special kind of candy that they enjoyed or looked forward to?
Well, overseas we didn't have access to good candy, so we made our own. I learned how to make divinity, a lot of things like that. But I remember my youngest son, to this day, he likes those silly little Peeps. I saw him in the store the other day and almost bought them for him.
That's funny because my brother and I always look forward to Peeps around Easter too. Our mom wasn't a huge fan of the Sugar Rush, but she would let us pick out one package, and we always picked the yellow chicks. So Becky, what product did you choose today and why?
Well, I'm so excited about this product because kids stuff always floats my boat. It's my favorite. And this sweet little llamacorn here, or unicorn, or whatever he is, I don't know, I call him Ralph. He's going to be our giveaway, and this is the softest thing you can imagine. So that's one of them. And then probably one of my favorite products are these friendship bracelets. 700 moms in the Philippines make these in a land where whole planes go for sexual tourism of children, and we lived there for 3 years. And these support an entire village and all their education. And they're these nasty bracelets that kids wear these days till they rot off their body. I call them nasty bracelets, and anything I mock sells. If you're going to make me wear something, I'd rather wear pearls. But that's a really fun thing, and you can get them in school colors. I love it that we have these fun little, I just love this carrot that has little bunny rabbits popping out of it that you can play with and create creative story. And this banana has little monkeys in it, and these are just adorable. They're little penny purses or whatever with little elephants on them in Easter colors. And then of course we have the croaking frog. And this silly little frog, once upon a time my husband came home with a gift for me. It was a big frog, this big. And he was so proud of himself, and I was like, I don't want frogs. I told him, buy me perfume bottles from now on. But he's so proud of himself because this is one of our favorite bestsellers now. It's actually hollow. It's made by an abandoned woman, and you run up the back with this stick. You go up the back and it croaks. And so you can't just lay it and do it. It won't sound right. So it's a musical instrument, and it has to be able to echo. So you just run up the back like that. That's one of my favorite things. And if you get one of these, I mean, every Easter basket needs a frog in it. Make sure you tell your child to name that frog. And then I have this incredible basket here of goodies. And so the mom in me, the kid in me, the grandma in me loves this stuff. So we've talked before about our social justice kit, and there's a kit in here that kids can make crayons and color a story for a child or write a story to an orphan. And so that's complete there. There's these wonderful scrunchies. Some of them are made right here by American rescued or at-risk women. There's this headband, which I'm going to make you try on because these are really fun and they're trending again, which is kind of weird. And the scrunchies are in. Give me a break. We've done that. So you hang on to that because you're going to try that on in a minute. And then we've got this cute little purse that's yak wool. And we've got an incredible little thing here. It's a little bottle that I have like 2 or 3 of these that I carry in my purse all the time. It comes complete with a charm, and it's a little bracelet in a bottle. So this would make a great gift on a Easter basket. But this is great for that, you know, when you're in that place like a restaurant and your kids get restless. And then because of all the hand washing we're doing, we need lotion. Have you noticed? In fact, the doctors on TV say they're dealing with dermatitis now because people are washing their hands, yes. But so we have handmade lotion right here in our spa line, right here by American Rescued Women. We have this adorable little tic-tac-toe board that has these little yak card things in them that you can play with. This is one of my favorite things, and if you're home right now, you know how when you were growing up, your mom would, show your height as you grew, and you'd put it on the drywall, and then when you'd move, you'd like cut the drywall out of the wall. Well, instead of doing that, we now have a program where they hire all HIV positive people, and they sew for us. They have this cute little bag that it fits in. And so I want to get one of these for all 4 of my kids and put their numbers on here so they can hold it up to their kids' numbers. And then they can own it when they grow up and have their own family. So that's just a fun thing, and it's fits in there nicely, and it comes in a couple different colors. And then my favorite thing of all, other than the llama corn, are these finger puppets. These finger puppets are full of wild imagination for such a time as this when you got kids at home. So this one is Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, and you can just, you put your finger on it and tell the story. And then you have ocean creatures, and I love it that there's even a jellyfish there. When we were growing up, we had to be careful when we swam in the Bay of Bengal because there were jellyfish, and they will sting you. And if you're a kid, you can die from that sting because your body's too small. Then we have the garden critters. So these are all creatures in the garden, and I would send my grandkids out to go find these.
Okay.
And say, first one that finds all 4 gets a quarter or something. And then I love the Noah's Ark because there's 2 flamingos, and then there's the dove and Noah. And because I'm so in love with the finger puppets, I have one of every single one that lives in my office. This is my bin that nobody's allowed to touch. And in it are one of everything. I have this little basket that we have tea with whoever's here. And then we have, I have fun ones. Look at this double-headed dragon. And, I mean, look at this little giraffe. Isn't he cute?
He is.
And I even have a Christmas one with Santa Claus and a seahorse. And so this, I even have a little kit with a bride and a groom and a preacher. And the bride has a veil. So I have one of every one, but those are some of my favorite products. And I think Ralph here, the llama corn, is what we're doing as a giveaway. So you've seen a bunch of my favorite things, and I want you to try that headband on so everybody can see that. We're back to headbands again, and we have some really fun fabric-covered headbands. Looks good with your jeans and your top. I didn't even know I'd picked it. Works great.
Thank you. Thanks, Becky, for joining us and sharing with us today. We are planning a fun time where Becky will be live on April 8th at 2 o'clock p.m. and 7:30 p.m. She will be answering questions about product, and all you will need to do is click on a link. Keep an eye out for a Facebook post with the link to join. And thank you, Faithful Warriors, for joining us this week on Breaking Chains. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Share our video on Facebook and comment on our Facebook page you shared it to be entered in this week's giveaway. Shop our online boutique to get 20% off all children's items, including the ones mentioned on today's episode.
War family, as we're moving into Easter, I want to encourage us, despite the pandemic, to celebrate hope and celebrate new life. You all know the Easter story. As you tell it again to your children and maybe they act it out, I ask you to ask yourself some questions. Remember Mary? Where was she the day after the crucifixion? Where was she? She was in the garden, remember? The morning after, there she was. And she faced a dark grave. And Jesus was standing right beside her, there in plain sight, but she didn't even see him. What is your dark place? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of the grave? Is there a dark place? Are you confused? Are you looking for God and he's standing right there in plain sight and you don't see him? Remember Peter? He knew he had failed. Oh, we all know the story of Peter. What a loser, right? 3 times he denied that he even knew his best friend. He was ashamed, and God still called to him. Where is your place of shame? Where's my place of shame? Where is that place that we go to? You know, the road to Emmaus. Again, here are men walking this road talking about failure. They think everything has happened wrong and nothing makes sense. And God hid himself right there in plain sight. Remember, he's walking beside them, but he only appears to them and they only understand when they break bread. And I love that about Jesus. He loved to sit and eat with people. What is your place of failure? What is my place of failure? Right now, you may be worried for your business. You may be worried about your mortgage. There are so many areas in our country right now that we're afraid of failing. Maybe your retirement program or something. You remember the disciples. What were they doing? The women were in the garden, right? What were the disciples doing? They were hiding in an upper room. They were afraid, and the door was locked. They were in there, isolated, locked in. They were afraid, and Jesus burst through that wall. He burst through that locked door, and he declared peace. He said it twice. God always moves through boundaries. I don't know what our boundaries are in our own lives. I don't know what the boundaries are in our children's lives, but their boundaries, our boundaries, what are they? For the disciples, it was fear, it was isolation. What is it for us? This Easter, I want us to think about the fact that sometimes God hides in plain sight. Look what he did after his death and resurrection. And we have moments of revelation where we suddenly see clearly, and then it's like God disappears again. War family, wait for those moments when God, who's in plain sight, shows up and shows himself. The resurrection is not some story about 2,000 years ago. It's for today. It's for you and me right now in COVID-19. It's about hope. It's about resurrection. Every time you overcome a boundary, when you overcome something that tries to overcome you, and your dark place or your shame or fear of failure, whenever you overcome, you are the resurrection. I'm asking God right now to show his face to the War family, to each one of you. From our house, the house of War, to your house this Easter. This does mean war, but war fights for peace. The peace that passes all understanding in the midst of trial. That's the resurrection.